back for another episode talking about Gothic horror and just kind of the resurgence that we're having in the moment.
Mhm.
But mostly like focusing on Frankenstein, which came out on Netflix. Um, it was, I want to say this month. It was this month. It was only a few weeks ago it came out.
It was, yeah, because I was one of the annoying people that got to see it in the cinema and I saw it at the start of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we're just we're just having a bit of a moment, and we really wanted to discuss it. So obviously I've got Meg back. I'm Liv as always. I'm always here because it's my podcast. But Meg is probably on 50% of the podcast.
Hello.
Hello. But yes, yeah, you're right. Frankenstein came out. It had a bit of a limited run in the cinema. And
Mm,
it was at Venice festival, which I remember it had a 10-minute standing ovation. I might be wrong with that. And then it was at the BFI Film Festival here in the UK, which is nice because
yes.
it was technically a British production. It was filmed up in Scotland, most of it.
Hmm.
Which makes sense because of all of the scenery and the vibes that Scotland brings. And it
The
kind of
locations
matches.
were amazing.
Yeah, and it matches the original work as well. So but yeah, so basically we're just kind of having a chat about that, and if we are in a bit of a gothic resurgence, why, what's going on?
Hmm.
The last time that we had a lot of gothic films like this was kind of like the early 90s when we had Bram Stoker's
Bram
Dracula.
Stoker.
Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1992, and then we also had Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in 1994.
Yes.
Another film that I kind of pulled out was An Interview with a Vampire, which was
Oh,
1992. But we
and we've
also,
got the TV show.
yeah, and then, but like, there was many more that came out around that time. Also, there was such a, I have looked into this, but in the 90s, there was such a thing about putting the author's name in front of it to kind of make it clear that this was going to be authentic and like a
Yeah.
proper adaptation, but half the time they weren't. Like, they were good adaptations, but you can never really uh, like carbon copy a novel. So,
Mm.
but
I think it gives it like that like literary
yeah,
like, oh, this isn't, this isn't like Hammer horror. This is Bram Stoker's
yeah,
Dracula.
yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to say his name now. It's like the North rubbing off on you. I love it.
No, it just came out. But yeah, in so right now, the things I've kind of pulled up were like Interview with a Vampire is kind of here at the moment, the series, and then we've also had like quite a few indie kind of films coming up, like The Invitation, and
Mm.
then obviously last year we had Nosferatu, which came out, which I always butcher that name. I am so sorry.
Nosferatu.
Which is like fan fiction in itself, and I will always say it. It's but
It
but
is.
it,
No, it
it,
literally
it is.
is.
But
They
it's
literally
great,
just
and
wanted to do
yeah,
Dracula, but they couldn't get the
they
rights
couldn't
to
do
it.
Dracula.
It's so good. Like its origin
Yeah,
story is amazing.
and I really, really loved that film. Like again, it was, it's so like it's so weird because it has the same pace as Dracula and the same like kind of like pinch points, but
Hmm.
the tone and the themes are completely different. And so
Yeah.
it's his own thing. But also it's like
It's
not based on a book, but it is based on a book. It's so far removed from its original source.
it
Um,
feels like it's really got like a life of its own.
yeah,
Like
especially
it
with
kind
this
of
new
has this
version.
cult following and it's kind of
Mhm.
got this mystique and oh, I love it. And like
Yeah.
not to be very stereotypical me, but the cinematography,
Yeah.
like oh, the carriage scene, like that scene when what's his face, Nicholas Hoult is walking up and the carriage comes along and the way that's lit with the moonlight. I don't think I'm ever gonna stop thinking about that scene.
No, and I'm never going to stop thinking about how clever it was because the way that they like color graded it and obviously filmed it as well in the first place made it have this such a black and white effect to it until there was like fire, and then it would suddenly
Yeah.
have a little bit of like red and like orange, and oh, it was gorgeous, and there was like such a lack of color. Everyone was
Mm.
like dead. Um,
Everyone was dead.
everyone was dead. Everyone then died. It was great. Um, And
And what more can you ask for from a
no,
gothic horror?
yeah, exactly. And then, but to kind of like flip that, we've also had a new version of Dracula. A love tale, love tale has come out. But it's not come out in the UK, so we can't
Yeah, what's going on
actually.
with that?
I don't know. I've really been looking into it, and it's like they keep saying for a moment it was meant to come out on the 31st for Halloween, and then it just didn't. And then now they're saying it's going to come out in the new year. But
Bullshit.
at this point, I've just
Give us
simply
the Dracula film.
give us Dracula. Um, but I know there's a little bit behind it just because of the director, but it was a French production, but it wasn't in French, which I find so
Interesting. What language is it in?
just English. Just
Is it?
yeah.
I really don't know too much about it other than the fact that it looks very pretty.
I love Tale, that is what it's called. I was stupid forgetting that. Um Yeah, because it's Luc Besson who is directed it, who also did like Leon the Professional and
Mm.
Lucy Fifth Element. So he has this quite a cinematic flair that is very identifiable. So no, I'm very looking forward to that film, but like I said, it's a Gothic film, but it's not out in the UK. Cannot discuss.
Cowards. Cowards won't give us the Dracula film.
I must confess, I never considered what would come after creation.
But obviously, yeah, a new version of Frankenstein has come out by Toro, which is the Netflix version.
Mhm.
I say Netflix version. I actually haven't looked into it enough to say if it was a Netflix production. I don't know if it's just distributed by Netflix, but
I'm pretty sure it was production.
it was a production
Shall I
for
look it
Netflix.
up?
Yeah, maybe you do that and I'll keep babbling.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, so that has and it has come back with a lot of not just only critic acclaim, it really has like captured a lot of people. Like it's got really popular really fast. And obviously
Oh, massively.
I do think I don't want to say a big part of it is Jacob Elordi, but it's mostly him that people have been coming up with. And I do just want to like quickly say
Sorry
like
to interrupt. It was only distributed by Netflix. I don't know why I
oh
thought
okay.
it was yeah. It's yeah.
No,
Sorry.
no, that is
Elordi.
interesting. Yeah, so I think Jacob Elordi is like a big person. Like his name's coming up, and a lot of people with the creature. And I think maybe it's because
Mm.
for a lot of people, this is their first introduction to Frankenstein because so many people, it's a common thing that everyone gets it wrong. They think the creature is called Frankenstein when it's not. And so maybe this is because it's the first time a lot of people understand that the creature is a baby. It's the only way to
He is
explain
a
it.
baby.
Maybe. And that and you feel for him and like it's kind of this like really horrifying kind of love story of like father son and like
Mm.
wanting to be wanted and daddy issues and
It's
then oh
heartbreaking. It's absolutely like
yeah
heartbreak. Like so, I recently so after watching it, I decided to reread the 1831 version because
mhm,
I was like, this is so it's so inaccurate to the book. But
yeah
I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's a faithful adaptation in like the themes
mhm,
and the changes that they make. I think work really well.
yeah
Apart from one thing, which we will get onto, which you know about, which I
mhm,
hated, which we'll get to. But in rereading it, it's all of the scenes with like the French family
mhm,
and like when he goes to the old man and is
mhm,
speaking to him, I shed a tear reading it. I also shed a tear watching it, but like it's so
yeah.
heartbreaking. It really is. Anyway, sorry, I feel like I completely interrupted you there.
No, and then like I guess like, like Mia Goth has been discussed a lot with her. Again, we will talk about this a little bit, but she plays two characters. She plays Elizabeth and Claire. So she plays Elizabeth, who is a love interest of the two brothers, but who obviously in the original book was a cousin, but we'll get to that. And
mm,
then Claire is the Frankenstein brothers' mother. So it is a very interesting that was a decision. So Mia Goth has definitely been coming up a lot. Oscar Isaac, I don't feel like is coming up enough. Oscar Isaac
Yep.
did amazing. I love how he is so versatile with his. He can one minute be Poe from fucking Star Wars, and then the next minute he's like this horrible man in Ex Machina. I can't remember his character's name. And then he's Victor in Frankenstein, and he's just so like, oh, he's his range is amazing, and like
He is not getting enough credit.
he's not getting enough credit because I hated him in this. But he is a lovely man in real life.
Lovely in real life,
Lovely in real
horrible
life.
as Dr.
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Wait, he's not even a doctor. Is he a doctor? I don't
No,
think
I
he
don't
is a
think he ever
doctor.
gets
He
called
doesn't finish his
doctor.
degree, does he?
Yeah. He's just Victor.
Yeah.
He's
You're
just
so right though.
Victor.
He is so there's something about his performance that like I also think it's a little bit in like the rewrites as well.
Mm,
Um but like even though I know Frankenstein quite well and obviously you know exactly what's going to happen and what he's going to do,
mhm,
like I was watching it being like, no, like don't
mhm.
like wanting to like just reach out through the screen and be like, stop
Yeah.
it. And I think that's impressive how he managed
Yeah.
to make those feelings come out.
Well, I think like one thing that I can t touch on was like a rewrite was with his father because apparently in the book, and I have read the book, but I can't fully like remember. But his book was much
Valid.
father was much more nicer and
Yeah, he
and
has a really decent relationship with his dad
yeah.
in the book.
But I like the change because I think it then set pushed in more this like in a way it brought a new theme which I think is again
Mm,
maybe this is a big reason why Gothic horror is becoming a big thing again is it was one of them themes of like generational trauma in a way of like that passing it on and like his father was horrible to him he then vows to try and basically be God by bringing people back
mm.
and then he becomes his father with how he is with his creation, which is his son, really.
His
Um,
son, baby Jacob Elordi.
Jacob Elordi. I also get sad that like he never actually gets given a name.
Yeah, but that's why it's so
It
sad.
is, I
It's
know.
one of the reasons, like, so can I go into a bit of Mary Shelley fanboy mode?
Yeah.
So do you know like the whole inspiration behind like why she wrote it and the stuff,
Yeah,
the
and
shit that
I've
happened
been
to her?
I've been rereading her timeline because I was like double checking
Oh,
some stuff. I was
mm,
like I wanted to double check that this did happen before this novel was created. Um, Yeah, and there is a very good film that was made quite a few years back with I can't one of the Thingy sisters in it, and that was an amazing portrayal of what her life was
ooh.
like.
I don't think I've
Um,
seen that.
mm. Yeah.
I just think it's really interesting the kind of um so I was when I was reading, so there's two versions of Frankenstein. There's the 1818 and there's the 1831.
Mhm.
I think 31. Let me double check. Yeah, 31. And it basically had like a few edits, like less to the story and more to just the kind of the general writing.
Mhm.
And in the 31 version, there's a gorgeous introduction by Mary Shelley, and it's really, really heartbreaking. I'd really recommend like reading it if you've not. But she basically talks about how when she initially wrote Frankenstein, the idea behind it, kind of the inspiration came from she'd suffered child loss, like her baby died like really, really young, and this idea of like wanting to bring the child back to life. And also we know that she had like a very complicated relationship with her mum because her mum died during childbirth, obviously an incredible author as well.
Yeah.
And in the revised version, what happened in between it being originally published and it being revised was she lost more children and she lost the love of her life, Percy Shelley. And there's a lot of really interesting kind of like themes and she kind of goes from I think the later version is more optimistic,
Mhm.
even though she's suffered so much loss. And it's interesting because none of that particularly other than like the stuff with his with Victor's mum a lot of that doesn't really come through in the film because it focuses a lot more on the relationship with the dad. So you have a lot more masculinity. You also have his relationship with what's his face? I can't remember his name. Uh, the guy,
As in his brother or Harlander?
him.
Okay. So
Yeah,
his benefactor, I think
his
is.
benefactor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have all of these kind of like
Mm,
father figure son relationships.
mm,
And then also because his brother is quite a bit younger than him, you have that kind of like fatherly thing. So you go from a book that comes sorry, I'm so ranting.
it's fine.
I'm going to finish though. You come from a book that's like core kind of inspiration comes from motherhood and the relationship between women
Mm,
and their mothers and women and their daughters. And then it becomes this adaptation that is about fathers
mm,
and father figures. And I don't necessarily hate that because it was made by a man.
yeah.
So it would feel maybe disingenuous to be talking about motherhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just find it really, really interesting, as you can tell, because I've just
Yeah. But
ranted about it.
I find it interesting that we've never had a female adapt this novel as well. You know, like we've never had
Hmm.
anyone from who is not masculine. And maybe one day we will. Maybe one day that will happen. And it'll be a completely new version. Because the thing is with obviously we will talk about Wuthering Heights as well as these sort of novels come back out every 10 to 20 years, a new version is made. The last
Hmm.
version of Frankenstein, well, no, there was, I think the main version of Frankenstein that most people think of was the 92 version that has Robert De Niro playing the
Yes.
creature. Yeah, so I think, that's one. And then it's been on stage quite a lot. Like, I know it's like,
There's the Danny Boyle
yeah,
with Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, yeah.
that's quite a well-known one. Again, all male. And like maybe like moving into Elizabeth and the Mother a little bit because
Hmm.
in this version, which is Toro cast Mia Goth as both parts of the Elizabeth and the Mother, which you know flattens the woman's like the removal of women kind of like flattens the female roles within Frankenstein, but
Hmm.
it's so intentional that it works so well, and
Yeah.
it kind of then like ties into kind of like the core of the novel and Melly like how like the women are absent, they're so absent in this story of like the mother,
Massively.
and it really flattens the role of the woman, and like yeah, it's just such a interesting way to portray that. And this is where I do
Hmm.
just love adaptation theory because that was his vision of the novel and how to portray that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say about Elizabeth being changed to not be a cousin and to
Yes.
I don't really know what, but it works. Like I think it works in
Yeah, yeah.
an additional way because I think she's in like a love interest to like weirdly everyone. Like, it's like, she like because there's been like a bit
I
of a
mean, it's Mia Goth. Come on.
yeah, there's been a bit of a debate online about like were they trying to advertise the creature and her being more of a love interest, and I think they have a lot of tender moments, but
A leaf
there's
for
love.
me.
Yeah. There's love, but I don't think I read it. I never read it in a romantic way. I read it in
Oh,
a way,
interesting.
a mother way. Like like
Mm.
she
Well,
is
I
the only
suppose
person that showed love towards him and showed kindness. Yeah.
massively. And I suppose maybe that is like actually going contradicts completely what I just said. Um, it is this idea of like like what happens when there is an absent mother, like
Yeah.
when that kind of like motherly instinct isn't there, and that's what Mary Shelley grew up without.
Yeah.
Like, she grew up without her mum, and the book actually, I mean, it doesn't have less women in it because obviously you have a lot of side characters and stuff, but
Mm.
in terms of like women who actively are moving the plot along, the only woman really in the book that is like a main character is Elizabeth. So
Yeah.
And I loved Guillermo del Toro's version of Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I think there's so much depth to her, and like all of the choices around like giving her this interest in like nature and insects, like such
Mm.
a cool choice.
And I'm a Mia Goth stan. I just everything I've seen them in has been amazing, and like they're really able to like sink into a character, and like
Hmm.
the tenderness that they had, but then also the feisty, I can't say that. She had fire in her
She
when
did.
and there was the times where she like slaps Victor and like she does what she wants, but she still had that feminine to her of, and I think her obsession or like with bugs, and then we'll sidetrack in a minute to the costume design and how that like
Ah,
really was just gorgeously inputted. Um, but yeah, it's just another like kind of like area of Gothic that really the presence of a woman in and romance in a lot of Gothic horror is very there. And
mm.
sometimes it is like pretty it's very basic, like pretty girl, monster steals, pretty girl. Like
I
but
mean, we've got The Shape of Water, we've got
yeah.
Frankenstein, like he's got his thing, and that's his thing.
Yeah.
I do like your choice of words though, like saying that it felt very intentional.
Mm,
Because that feels very like accurate to what it is.
yeah.
I did think like immediately after finishing it, I thought I really want to see a Frankenstein adapted by a woman.
Yeah.
And then I also thought I want to go and read essays about what other people thought about this film because I feel like there'll be so much that I missed.
Mm,
And since it's come on Netflix, the amount of like TikToks and video essays
mm.
has just been immense. And so that like there's so much that I missed. The amount of detail,
Uh-huh.
stunning, stunning.
Yeah. And like I think for me, one thing that's not been coming up so much on TikTok and what we're kind of discussing now is kind of like the intention, not the attention, but like maybe like the subconscious of Mary Shelley, like when she was writing it, and like because for me, the absence of women is intentional even in her work, just because so
Massively.
much of her life, like so she had lost a child before writing this, and then
Hmm.
she had a young child, I believe, while wrote it, and then she lost that child, I think, before this was published. So that's kind of like, and then she does. She then has another child. It's just her life is so depressing in a way, and she, you know, was so optimistic with areas of her life. Um, so for me, the removal in of women and mother and anything like that was
Hmm.
very intentional. It made it cold. And I think for me it was her way of expressing how her pain wasn't seen in society in a way,
Oh,
like
massively,
of losing
massively.
children and that motherhood. And so again that then like ties into like it would be so interesting to see a woman's take, but
Mm.
the the that's why I believe it was so intentional to make the
Yeah.
Mia Goth like one actress play two big female roles.
Yeah. But I mean,
Um,
also just like Mary Shelley being a woman at that time,
yeah,
like, and being surrounded by, all of the like her contemporaries who were successful writers were all men. And she even talks about in the introduction to the 1831 version, she talks about how um she had all of these ideas and these stories and she wasn't ever going to publish them because she didn't think that like a woman's writing would be taken seriously, even though her mother was literally like feminist icon,
mm,
like wrote one of the most defining feminist texts,
mm,
like. And yeah, it's nuts to think about. And I do think other than
mm.
other than one horrible thing that he did, I think Del Toro did a really good job of keeping it feminist,
Yeah.
even though he's a man. So like we can forgive him
Yeah,
for
but
that.
like
But
a lot of his work, I've never felt like he, right, let's put it in this way. I love Christopher Nolan. I do.
Yes, we
He
know this.
removed women and he is not good at female. And I've kind of had to just accept that. Like, this is where it becomes more that we need more female directors, more females behind the scenes. We need not just that, we need more like LGBT plus behind the camera, behind the scenes, because we have had
1,000,000%.
so many one perspective from so many male directors. They still, they are still taking over the majority of filmmaking. And this is
I'm
coming from
sick of films by
yeah.
men.
And this is coming from someone who works in the film industry as well. And like we had this whole discussion on this film, on this TV show that I just worked on, where I'm really sorry. I love the team. I just want to say, if any of them hear this, I love you. You are my favorite team I've worked with. But we worked, apart from me and the supervisor, it was all male for the
Mm,
production team, which is rare. It's so rare for the production team to be masculine because the office job is so female in the industry because it's still camera, it's still grips, they are still like, electrical, they are still very masculine
mhm.
locations, but it is changing and it was so weird. So on the job I just worked on, we had mostly male in the production team and our camera team was mostly female, which was just like an
Oh,
amazing switch that I've never really fully experienced. But
yeah.
still, our producer and LP were male. And it's one of them, like when you're in a production team where you are mostly female, why is it I've mostly worked with male line producers where
Mm,
that is the road I'm on? It does hurt my head a little bit, but I'm hoping, we are having a surge and things are changing and shifting. So maybe once I'm up there, they'll suddenly be the complete opposite way around and we'll have
yeah.
more female LPs than anything else. But I do want to say our main producer, who like was the creator of the TV show I just worked on, was a female, and the writer was a female. So
We love to see it. Well, it's I mean, this is something we like could literally talk about for hours, but
mm,
it's the kind of multi-level action that needs to be taken because it isn't just a case of like, let's just have more women writers because okay, sure, but then who's directing those women's words? And then
yeah.
it's okay, and who's then behind the scenes and not just who's behind the scenes, but like with your,
It's just
with your
making
line
film,
producers,
yeah.
like it's the people in power. And if that is still all men,
Mm.
it's like how much is it shifting
Yeah,
really?
how
But
is
that's
it?
really interesting though that you had
Yeah,
such a
it was
switch.
crazy. But yeah, it's really trying to get where it's the same thing as what happened to STEM years ago, where they really wanted to push women into science, where
Mm.
that has now followed through, that now we've got a lot more female in science fields. And I think it is kind of helping and happening with the film industry and like but it starts at the bottom and being more accessible and welcoming people into the industry. But obviously, it's not just that, it's also telling people you can be in the industry if you want to. Rather, it's like,
Mm.
it's the same way as like firefighters are in your brain as masculine, but it's not. And it's just taking that away and letting people, because it's not, because you don't want to just hire anyone to be a writer. You want someone who's passionate and is a writer rather than you're a female,
Yes.
I'll hire you. So it
Mm.
is just that getting that balance of really opening it up and letting people know that you can do whatever you want to do.
Mm.
And, we are welcoming all perspectives in the film industry, all diversity, and kind of starting there. But yes, this is one of them
Yeah.
productions, isn't it, where
What
it
do you think has helped like in the time that you've been working in the positions that you've been in?
Mhm.
What do you think has been like yeah, just something that has helped kind of level that playing field out? Is there anything that you've noticed?
Not really, but I've definitely worked with a couple of people who have actively been trying to keep they don't want to just hire men and they actively have wanted to do a wider search for
Mm.
trainees or such. And that isn't us only going for a female to do diversity. It's more that the industry is it's so hard to understand how to get into the industry. So widening the search
Yeah.
for trainees and actually doing posts for CVs really like makes it more inclusive and not so gate kept of so I think that's big one thing that I've really noticed because
Mm.
if you aren't from I don't want to be like if you're a nepo baby because that's not but if you don't have friends if you don't have family if you don't live in London you do not understand how to get into that area sometimes so
Yeah.
opening that um accessibility for anyone to join in the industry has definitely been something I've noticed since I've been in the industry. Like in the last few years, more and more people have started to like do that.
That's really good to see. Yeah. There's so many like barriers and like marginalization, and I think the film industry is very, very behind maybe where like some other industries are. So it's cool to hear that there are things happening. Speaking of feminism and sexism and all of that, um, can we talk about why the fuck he put a Byron quote at the end of the movie?
Oh my God, I do feel really bad, but I watched the film with my mum and she was like really like, oh my God, amazing. And then Byron came up and I just went, why the fuck? She was like, Liv, I was really enjoying that and you've just taken away that moment. And I was like, why the fuck? Like I was so some people I think who just don't really understand were like, I don't get the issue. I'm like, you could have had so many quotes from fucking Mary Shelley herself to put at the end, and you
hmm
picked fucking Lord Byron. And maybe I'm too into ghosts, but I don't like that man.
No, I agree. Like no shade to Byron, but also full shade to Byron. He was not a good man. And even if he was, like it's like I know people joke about like Mary Shelley literally invented like the genre, which
Hmm.
she kind of did, but she also kind of didn't. But like it is such an iconic like and important book in terms of if you're looking at literature written by women, and it just I loved the final scene of the movie and especially that last shot. I thought was so good and powerful and moving. Apart from the fact that Jacob Elordi looked like he was on some like Balenciaga catwalk, but like it was so striking that last shot, and then you have the fade to black, and I remember sitting there thinking, oh, I'm so excited to talk to my friends about this on the way home. Like, wow, what a journey. And then I see a man's name. I see Lord Byron's name. And why do we need that? It's like, and it just,
I know.
I'm not against using quotes in films. I
Hmm.
have done it myself. However, I am again, like, that's the
It's the
final thing you're
context.
leaving your audiences with.
Yeah.
Why? Why Byron? Infuriating. I hate it. Guillermo del Toro, if you're listening, I love you, but why did you do that?
It's literally my only note. Like it's like for me, that's it.
Why did
Having
no one stop him?
everything. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it would have been in post and no, like it's so
Mm.
beyond. Like you would have only really had a few producers and the head execs, and maybe if they just didn't, I don't know. They obviously basically we just had a bunch of men.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. But let's not talk about the men anymore because can we
Mhm.
talk about Kate Hawley?
Oh yes, and the costume design.
Yes. I'm sorry if
Yeah.
you don't want to talk about that yet, but
No,
like
I'm ready. I'm
we
ready. I'm
have
like,
to, because
oh,
what a genius.
I'm yeah, and I'm gonna be like really butchering it because I can't like I love costume design, but it's just not my main area of like talking or but I
Mm.
would just say gorgeous, like stunning, like the colors of like the red and the symbolism and like just everything. And I know you were gonna say a bit more about like Elizabeth and like Mia Goth's like outfits and like the the bug patterns and like
The
like
bug pattern on the green
yeah.
dress.
Oh
Stop it. You sent me that Instagram post that was like all of the details that you missed.
yeah.
And oh, it was stunning. They're so good. This is why I'm one of the many reasons I'm annoyed it didn't have like a longer cinema run, because I don't think you can see a lot of those details on the small screen.
Yeah.
I'm just actually having a look at some of her films because she's done so much. Most for me that I think is amazing is Crimson Peak.
Yes. Another Tory film though.
Yep.
Again, iconic. Like I
Hmm.
absolutely love that film. What is it with him and like does really fucked up stories?
Whatever is wrong with that man,
Yeah.
I'm glad because amazing films come from it.
But yeah, like little shout out to Veronica Tucker, the label on Instagram, because they are the ones who did a post about the fashion in Frankenstein, where we've been able to kind of understand it a bit more because both like I don't know about you, it's just I can appreciate and I can understand, but I think sometimes I do need to watch I watch so many like videos of someone else breaking it down for me because
Mm.
it's just not I need someone to spell it out like I'm a child because sometimes, like I said, color
Like,
theory,
this
I
is a
can,
corset. This is from
yeah,
the olden times.
this is a symbol because, yeah, I'm not.
She has bugs on her dress because her character likes bugs.
Well, I think the main one that someone did point out, but then I was like, actually, no, that one was pretty obvious, was her wedding dress. And
Oh,
it kind of actually,
amazing.
yeah, but it also, the ribbons around the arms call back to the, I want to say it's like the 1930 feels too late, 19 like 80 20 black and white version of Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that's what
love
it
the
calls back
references
to.
like that. I love that. I love as well the, I can't
Oh
remember
my
what
God,
the
it was the
fabric's called.
30s. I'm so
Was
stupid. It's
it?
1935. I think it's because it was silent. I swear it was silent. That's why in my head it was older.
You call yourself an adaptation expert and you don't even know when it was made.
I had to watch it like a few years ago as well for part of like a module I was doing.
Hand your masters back in.
So sorry.
I do love though, the I think it isn't tulle, but like that kind of tulle like
Mm,
fabric. And when the mother is like waiting to welcome the father back, and it's
mm,
like it's on her hat and it's like floating behind her in the wind, and
mm.
it is inc oh, it's fucking beautiful. And I watched there was a guy on TikTok who was trying to find out what the fabric was. And like there was this whole saga on how he tried to find it out. And then when he went to the, I'm not sure where it is, but there's like that exhibition, isn't there, in
Yeah.
London, where you can go and see the costumes. And he went up close and like took like this crazy zoomed in photo to figure out the structure of the fabric and stuff like that is so interesting. Like I don't really know anything about it, and it is still very, very cool.
Yeah. But you know what? Another like sorry to like I was on I don't want to like drop names of who I've just worked with, but I thought
Drop names, do it.
so I have just worked with Louise, who shout out to Louise, was basically the costume designer on Doctor Who for from series two. Yeah. And it was such an interesting insight talking to her though about it because she said there's like she's like, oh, I found in the forums and all of this, people trying to work out what I've bought. And she's like, how the hell do you figure out what I've bought? And she was just like so like she just couldn't get her head around people trying to figure it out. And like so obviously she's gone to a couple of like Comic Cons and I was like trying to like be like really cool about it because obviously
You
I
like,
am a
I've
comic
never been to a Comic Con in my
never to a Comic
life.
Con. And so like it was just really weird like hearing it from someone else's like point of view where it's like your work and they're just like, I don't know, it's just a bit of fabric I found. Like it's like so then finding, like someone's like really trying to find like exactly what fabric you use.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mate,
like
I've been on those Doctor Who forums.
yeah,
Like, people, people are intense. It's like
yeah,
they're putting in the work.
yeah. But it was just so
That's
interesting
very
like
cool.
hearing it from someone's point of view of like their point of view of being like, why do you want to know?
Why do you care so much?
Yeah. I was like, because we do. But yeah, I tried to make her realize that we all hail her. I was like, you're like the goat of Doctor Who. Like I was like,
I
but then
can't
I
believe
thought,
you've not told me this before
I'm so
because
sorry.
she has given us some of the most iconic outfits in Doctor Who ever.
I know.
Ah, what a legend.
Yeah,
So
I'm
cool.
pretty sure because she said she stopped. Can't remember if she said she stopped for Matt Smith or stopped for Peter. But she said that means for me in my head, I'm like, so that means you probably created Matt Smith's Doctor outfit. Or at least if it was maybe people higher up, you were definitely involved in that. Like, because
Get her
she,
on the phone. We need to know.
Louise. Yeah, so she was, yeah, iconic. So yeah, no, like the cost, it just makes me think about like Kate. I'm just like, because half the time these bigger people do not have Instagram and stuff, which I find I don't want to be like, get Instagram, we want to be able to DM you, but it's just
We
some,
need a parasocial relationship with you.
yeah, like some are much more like open and like to discuss, and but then there's like the opposite where they seem so hidden away, and you have to like wait for them to
Mm,
do one random panel at the BFI,
yeah.
like
It's like this
interview
certain
them.
mystique to it as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like this kind of artist that like is a bit of a recluse and, you know, goes away for years at a time to work on their next masterpiece. Which, to be fair, the costume in Frankenstein was a masterpiece, so I'll give her that.
it was. Um, I'm just trying to figure out who was there. So I'm pretty sure it was Mike Hill did the prospect oh I can't say the word prosthetics of
Mhm.
the makeup team for Frankenstein as well, which I do really like it, and then I also didn't like it. Is this
There's a
I don't
butt
know how
coming.
I was gonna say I don't know how you felt because they I feel like they tried to hide Jacob Elordi for a really long time as what
Mm,
he looked like. But then I feel like they then gave up on the final trailers. I feel like they could have hidden it a bit longer. I feel like we could have
yeah.
kind of like held that back until you watched the actual film, and then it was
Yes.
but I'm not like completely mad about that area. Um, I think my only thing is I did like the way he looked, but I
Hmm.
think for me he didn't look like he had been patched together by loads of different parts. He looked like he had just been patched
Yeah.
together by one body that's been blown up because
Mm,
everything fit perfectly. And I think we could have had a little. I'm so sorry though, because I do want to say like I've said before this that apparently took him 6 hours if it was just like just his head and his hands, and up to 11 hours if it was full body. So maybe it was just maybe too many extra elements to add, but I just think we could have
mm.
had a little bit more like texture, like to make it look like there were slightly misshapen parts put together. And then
Yeah.
time that he kind of like I don't want to say regenerated, but like like because he like kind of nearly dies a lot in this, quite a few times. So maybe like as he's getting like more human and like growing up in a way, going from baby to toddler to adult, um,
Hmm.
maybe he heals a little bit more, and maybe it becomes a little bit less. But I think that was like my main criticism was I sometimes look and then
Yeah.
think that one shot of him when he's like just come out of the water after the mansion has blown up.
Fish
Um
boy.
yeah, and there was like a lot of references to other sci-fis. And I mean sci-fi's not horrors, like because he
Mm.
looks a bit alien rather than um a botched up man. I don't know how else to
Yeah. I
yeah.
think the I think the blue tone was a really interesting choice.
Mm,
Like the blue and the purple that I'm not like particularly against. I think it was a very colourful film and I liked that it like that wouldn't be realistic for like a corpse to look
mm,
like.
yeah.
Um I did I've seen that that one tweet that was like somebody that I used to know, like the
Mhm.
music video of that next to
Yes.
the
It's
creature, and it's
in
like,
it.
yeah, that is what he looks like. I think as well, I think you're so right about like the texture
Mm,
because there is a I say a certain level, there's a massive amount of body horror to
mhm,
Frankenstein, and the creature is supposed to be. And in this version, which I really, really liked as an addition, he gets the body parts from like a battlefield.
Mm,
So, yes, all of the body parts are going to be probably from men of a certain age.
mm,
So they are going to look quite similar. But like, I kind of want to see like one arm longer than the other, or
mm,
like, you kind of want to see something other than the kind of the coloring that would kind of be othering. Um, but then
mm.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it too much. In fact,
No, that's what I
he's
mean. Like, I
behind me at the minute.
wasn't. I think it is mainly that one shot that made me go. I think it's just when it's complete. When Jacob Elordi's completely in light.
Hmm.
I think it
But
just looks
ass naked.
more. Yeah, like it doesn't look right. But then when he's like in the dark, like which most of the film is like in dark and shadows, and it
Hmm.
looks much, Um, I feel like we haven't actually said. I know we have said early on that Jacob Elordi has had a lot of praise, but we haven't actually praised him. I do want to say he did
That
do
man doesn't need
an
any praise from us.
well, like his, again, I think actually this could be a slight good size step into Wuthering Heights, actually,
Let's
because
fucking go.
right, we're ready. Um, so right, this is me again. I'm gonna have to like pull. I have written two essays on Wuthering Heights, as in like big ass. I've not published them. Can't be fucked. I've just
Academia.
academia. You're meant to write things sometimes. That's what's happened.
Hmm.
Um, and it's mostly about the adaptation theory that I've discussed, and obviously then sidestepping into this new version of Wuthering Heights. Jacob Elordi is playing Heathcliff, which one has come under a lot of criticism anyway, just
The
because
worst casting decision of the
yeah,
decades.
was this. And I weirdly am now worried for his career because
He'll
I
be
feel
fine.
yeah, but he's done so well from like, starting out in Netflix like kind of rom-coms, romance films.
Mm.
And then obviously his I would say the thing that really broke him out was obviously Euphoria. Like his
Yeah.
name is fucking amazing because then he's not like that in like it was just, you know, acting wise. I can't imagine the depth he had to go to sometimes play some of them scenes.
Mhm.
And then he's kind of just been on up and up with Saltburn being so popular the other year, and now
His
being
Elvis in Priscilla as well,
oh my
huh?
God, I forgot about his Elvis and Priscilla.
Hmm.
Oh my God, and he was even better than oh, what's his name?
Them
Austin.
method acting Austin Butler.
Yeah. And he was just iconic, and then and now Frankenstein playing the creature, and now he's going to be Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights, and we have in the time of filming this, the a proper long trailer has come out. A few,
That proper long trailer.
it's not a teaser trailer anymore. We've had an actual trailer has come out.
And it
Um,
looks god awful. Sorry, there's no way I can be unbiased about this. I hate it.
but
It
I'm the
looks
complete
like dog shit.
opposite. But yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting to see what Jacob Elordi's like because yeah, I absolutely thought he was amazing, but really now fully going on to Wuthering Heights.
Mhm.
Is it rage bait or is it going to be an iconic film? Because I, if anyone is,
What do you think?
well, I don't think I have any fans of this podcast, but any fans out there, you will know.
Hey, hang on. We have many fans of the podcast, including me right here, number one fan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When I win that Spotify podcast award, I'll thank you.
You
Um,
better. You better.
I will. But I was really against it, like really quickly. Like really this is not gonna work. Like I again love Margot Robbie, like we all do, but we're like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are you Kathy? Like, and it does feel like really nasty that we're like, you're too old, but you are. Like Kathy, it's probably only I can't even remember how old she is when she dies, but she's probably like 21. Like she's probably really like she marries and then dies in childbirth. Like, there's not much of a timeline to her
Yeah.
becoming a proper woman. Um, but it's an Emerald Fennell film,
Emerald fucking Fennel.
which I have adored her for a really long time. Sorry, I've just ended up with another
Oh,
cat if you hear it.
why?
Well, because
Liv, I hate her.
I loved Promising Young Woman, and then I really liked Saltburn. I'm that person.
You're
And it's
wrong.
kind of iconic because obviously there were Wuthering Height references in Saltburn.
Hmm.
I'm so sorry, my cat's just gonna keep meowing at me now. I think he's telling me off because I haven't fed him yet.
You know what?
Um,
I can't hear him. I can just see his tail.
the other tabby. Um, and so watching so when Wuthering Heights was starting to be, I remember I was actually filming up in York when it started to kind of become a thing.
Yes, you were
And
up
then not
north.
filming it. They were having a London-based. Sorry, sometimes when I say London, I do sound it like that bloody meme of Coronation Street when they all go in
It-
London.
You're going to London.
London. I was like, why? Because my friend was working, I'm pretty sure it was Sky Studios, and she was like, yeah, Wuthering Heights is here. And I was like, why? So that means they probably did a lot of studio there. I think they might have done some odd bits on the moors, which you can't do Wuthering Heights without being on the fucking moors. I'm sorry.
I'm
What
I'm
the hell?
I don't want to claim some kind of ethical high ground because I am from North Yorkshire, but
You're allowed.
like
I've got
I
a little bit of
feel
Yorkshire blood, so I'm with you.
I feel like Emily Bronte she'd be turning in her
Yeah.
grave. And I I think Jacob Elordi, if he had been cast in a 90s adaptation, don't get me wrong, we have
Yeah.
had so many posh white men playing Heathcliff, but it's 2025. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And oh, can I dunk on Emerald Fennel for a sec?
Yeah, go on.
I really don't think Emerald Fennel is a ethical artist.
Yeah.
So my issue with Saltburn is that it it's just shit. No, it's such anti-working class, and it's also anti-Scouse. And I don't know, did I send you the essay about why it is anti-Scouse
No.
by Ella Fradgley? It's so good. I'll send you it, and then you can link it wherever this goes.
Yeah.
It's really brilliant, and the way that she puts it into words is way more eloquent than I could ever even begin, because I'm just like, it's shit. But it's so the film, right, at its core is about class, Saltburn,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and it was promised to be about obsession and relationships, and I think it could have been such a cool story. And in the end, what it turned out to be was oh, middle class people want to be upper class, so they pretend to be working class, and they're actually all just money hungry and trying to climb the social ladder, which just is not a good take. And Emerald Fennel went to, from the ages of 4 to 18, the most expensive private school in the whole of the UK. She is incredibly privileged. She is of the people that she pretends to take the mick of,
Yeah.
but she isn't actually taking the mick out of them. She's just it just feels like a weird, I don't even know how to put it into words. I really don't think the way that class is portrayed in Saltburn is good in the slightest. And so the fact that she is adapting a book that is so famously about class and the different roles that race and gender and the North and socioeconomic backgrounds and all of this plays in the story is so important. And it feels really disappointing that the director that is holding that is someone who I think has a track record of not portraying those issues well at
Yeah.
all. And she's gone and cast fucking Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff, who is
Yeah.
famously not a white character and not
I
a
know,
posh
and I
character.
will fight for that one because I have reread I have it right here and I was saying to you about because I've written so much about it. I've got really weird adaptation my writing in
What
here is
what
so
was the
weird.
number one?
So I've got numbers in here because oh my God, I've completely forgotten everything that I write about. But a big thing, one of the really old, I think it's from the 80s, theory is all to do with kernels and satellites. And it's
Okay.
basically like points that are in a book that you basically can't change because it makes it go from A to B to B to C. But
Mhm.
then, so that's a satellite, and then a kernel. Hang on, can't remember what way around it is now. But I think I must have been writing it as like 44 must have been me being like, that's a kernel. And then 46 must have been me going, that's a
Interesting.
satellite. Um,
That's very cool.
so that's where I love adaptation theory because I usually use that as a backs like a skeleton because there's loads of like different ways that people talk about adaptation and how you can get a faithful adaptation where I've come forward because there's not been much adaptation theory in recent years. I think the last big ones were more in the 90s
Mm.
because you cannot carbon copy a book to a film. They are two different, completely different mediums. And
Yep.
you are going to read this in one way, which is not the author's intention. You can read into things that the author probably didn't even realize they had put in. So, like I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you can never say, oh, this is the most like faithful adaptation of Wuthering Heights. So when it comes to like things like this and Frankenstein that we've been discussing, they are so feel like there's so much to unpack and I just adore that. So I think I'm
Yeah.
getting where I'm really excited for this Wobbling Heights because as much as I want to hate on it, because like I said, if you've listened to earlier podcasts, I have hated on this. But since the
Yep.
trailer, I think there's some theories that are coming out, and I don't want to like get my hopes up that some of these theories could be correct because I've done that before. And famously, I thought Beth from The Walking Dead was not dead. So I think that's a big one, and I can get my
Spoilers for
hopes
anyone that's
up.
not seen The Walking Dead.
That was like series like four of like 10. Sorry, guys. So I can get my hopes up a lot and then just be absolutely disappointed. But one
Mm,
big theory is that it's actually going to be a woman reading Wuthering Heights and that they're projecting because of the costume
yeah.
designs in the trailer are so all over the place. Like
Well,
one
you've
minute
got
it looks
Victorian silhouettes, right?
yeah.
And yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then next thing she's got glitter on her face and like looks like Georgian in a way.
Hmm.
Like and so like it just
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
like the time periods are all a bit scattered and but then there's like a lot of moments that are like dollhousey and clearly a soundstage and kind of in a way calls back to the original um few versions of Wuthering Heights with especially with
Mm.
like there's a shot of Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff going away on his horse and the
Yes.
sky is like this gorgeous like red like it's sunrise and sunset but that is very reminiscent of like the 1930s and 40s Hollywood. So I
Yeah.
don't know, I feel like I'm getting excited for the film not because I think it's going to be a masterpiece, more because I think it might be a masterpiece to unpack. Like, I'm just
That's
like,
interesting.
yeah. So, but, and then there's the added element of Charlie XCX doing the music.
Yes.
It's so interesting. She's obviously the original trailer was to
Fall
the
in love again and again.
again and
Fall in love again and
again and
again.
again. What's that called? Romantic? Um, And then she's brought out Chains of Love as a single, and then she's also brought out a single House, which I think is the one that's most people have been talking about with John Cale.
Mm.
But she's also releasing like an album. Like an album is going to come out called Wuthering Heights. Um, I don't really know what to expect from that one. Like, again, this is what I mean about like there's just so many elements to this film that hurt my brain, but now I'm suddenly getting really excited for. Um,
I mean, I love that for you. I love that you're excited, and I don't want to like shit in your cornflakes, but um, I am not excited, and I think like I'll see it. I
Mm.
will go and see it. I won't
You'll
spend
rate
money on
it.
it, but I'll go and see it.
Yeah.
But like I think that theory, I remember when we talked about the whole like because it's Wuthering Heights, but in quotation
Yeah.
marks, so it's like Wuthering Heights. Like, I think that's such a cool concept. And if it
Mhm.
is that, like, hats off. That's
Mhm.
very, very interesting. But like, unless it has some real emotional depth and is like really looking at like because the thing is like with all the advertising and the marketing, like, don't get me wrong, you
Mhm.
cannot judge a film on the marketing, like,
Yeah.
and I think I get some really interesting creative choices. Um, but like, I am not against Wuthering Heights being horny, being sexy as fuck, being historically
Mm.
inaccurate, being kind of surreal and beautiful looking,
Yeah.
as long as the core kind of themes and what it's trying to say are
Yeah.
intact. And I don't have faith that they'll keep that
Mhm.
intact. Um, and that's what I'm worried about.
Do you think this is a really good time to like pull up the theory that they're actually brother and sister?
What, Heathcliff and Kathy?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%. What's his face?
Yeah.
The dad,
Yeah.
Earnshaw
Was
thingy.
whoring around.
He 100% went to Liverpool,
Yeah.
had sex with whoever. That's his son.
That's messed up.
100%.
Well, I think that's another like yeah, it's just right. Sorry, it's going back to adaptation theory a little bit as well.
Yes,
Is
I love it.
not all versions of Wuthering Heights do the second half of the novel. I don't think this is going to be doing the second half of the novel because there has not been one clip in that trailer. There has not been one casting announcement.
Hmm.
So I don't think we'll get their kids' story. Because this is one thing, like Wuthering Heights, okay, putting aside that I am slightly excited for this film now, which I might eat them words because, like I said, when I first came out, I was like, "Fuck this shit," and then for some
You'll be
reason,
listening to back to this
like,
what the
oh,
fuck was I on about?
what was I on about? Um, is that Wuthering Heights is about two souls that connect and they cannot live without each other. But a big
And they
part,
make it everyone's problem.
and then we get everyone's problem. Because a big part of it is that it's not from their point of view. It's never been from their point of view.
Yes.
It's from fucking Nellie's point of view. So Nellie is telling the story to this guy who turns up on the door and is
Who's then
like,
telling the story to us?
yeah, who's then telling the story to us. So it's like we're so many times removed from this story, and
Mm,
we're at the end of the story, and then we go to the beginning of the story, and so like we never actually know what happens between Kathy and Heathcliff. We understand that they were inseparable. We understand that they had like a thing with each other, and like they were seen, arguing, and odd things were said. But we do not know what happened on the moors. We do not know what happened like between them completely. And I think
mm,
that's why, again, this is me when I'm going, we have never had like an actual adaptation which is faithful to that source material. Like, and also they
mm.
always age up Nelly. So many versions make her a nana, and it's like she was only a few years older than them because she was a housemaid.
I was gonna say she's like grown up with them basically,
Yeah.
right?
So there's that element. And then obviously Kathy, R.I.P. Fucking love that girl. She's,
Rest in
um
peace, Kathy.
shoot, you were
Problematic queen.
iconic. She dies giving birth to a child, and that child and Heathcliff's child and
Another Kathy,
and another
just to make it
one
more confusing.
all all
You've
get
got Kathy
like
1, Kathy
yeah.
2.
Well, there's like
They
another.
changed their surnames a million times.
We basically end up in another love triangle because she
Yeah.
wants to marry one and then she actually loves the other one and like it's ridiculously sad,
Well,
but
then we've got cycles, generational cycles
yeah.
and
Oh
trauma
my God, we're
again.
going again. See,
Yeah.
Gothic, this is why it's back. And yeah, and like so many versions do not do that version, like do that element of the continued story.
Because
Um,
people just want to see a love story.
yeah.
They just get, I mean, and this is from the marketing,
Mm,
from the fucking trailer of come witness the greatest love story ever told.
yeah.
It's not the
It's
greatest
not
love
the
story
greatest.
ever told. It's a tragedy. It's like when
Yeah,
people say like Romeo and Juliet is a romance. It's not a
yeah,
romance, it's a tragedy.
it's
And that's
tragic.
like what people don't get about Wuthering Heights.
And then I'd just like to say the 1992 version of Wuthering Heights is my favorite version. I think it
Who's in
is
that?
one of this is Ralph Fiennes as yeah,
Of
and
course, that's your
Juliet
favorite.
Bronche. Yeah, I think, and also the fact that Juliet plays Kathy and Catherine, as in she plays her daughter as well as Catherine. Again,
Love that.
calling back to Frankenstein with the double, but I think it works because Heathcliff looks at
Yes.
his her and sees Kathy in her. So they just make her blonde, get some blue contacts in. She now plays her daughter. It's great. It's actually it's the best my favorite version. I think it gets the moors and the coldness and that that Victorian coldness of like
Hmm.
of of the plot, and I love it when like you can feel the textures of a and I think that was one big thing
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Frankenstein as well that I didn't really say, that I loved how like it is that body horror in a way, because it just so many like of these like Victorian, like even Georgian, time periods, you just feel cold. Like, and you can
Yeah.
just feel the cement and you can just smell the soot and like everything.
Yeah. And I think Wuthering Heights especially because you have these kind of two very different locations. You have literal Wuthering Heights and the kind of that's cold because it's like literally exposed to all the elements on the moors, and like you kind of get the impression that it's like a bit run down and it's old. And then you have the, oh my God, what are they called? The Lin. Why has that just fallen from my brain? What was that?
I don't know, my lights went flickering. Um,
Weird.
you have
The
the
posh people.
Linton
Linton,
family,
thank you.
and then they're
Yeah,
the
you have, and that
Owensfords.
still feels cold.
Mhm.
Like,
But in a
and you
different way.
have those in a different way because it's so big and grand
I feel
and
like it
like,
goes from cement to China.
oh, that's good.
You
That's
know,
good. Yeah,
like
yeah.
pavement to like just coldness of like a massive
Yeah.
room.
And this is why I don't think Emerald Fennell will do a good adaptation because I don't think she understands that because she's
No,
spent a whole
I
fucking
think
life in China.
that's why I love the 1997,
China,
the
the
like 1992
material, not the
version,
place.
because it understands that, again, in the book you never leave Wuthering Heights. Like
Hmm.
you don't leave, you're there forever. Like, and so I think they do that really well in like you only really ever go to the other house for a little bit and it feels so like wrong to go there. And then
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like the mini series 2009 version with Tom Hardy and Charlotte Riley, which is quite cute because that's how they met and they are married
People love Tom
now.
Hardy's accent in that film.
But I really don't like how like they add more they add too much for me.
Interesting. What do you think
Well, it's just
what
like
is
little
too
it's just
much for you?
yeah, there's just bits where like they add a little bit more backstory and like they add bits of them going to like the village and stuff, and I'm like, no, you have to stay at Waffling Heights. Like,
Yep.
like we all need to be trapped in Waffling Heights. That's how we make it
Yeah.
feel, and that's how like and I think again that goes into the horror and like the gothicness of it. Um and like I do just want to like before we like finish, I just want to say like we both kind of said it before about the recession theory. So I call it the
Oh, the
lipstick.
vampire's a recession
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
indicator. Yep.
I call it the lipstick theory because they've said that when there's a recession, the shade of red lipstick goes up in sale. Um, and I do wonder if like gothic horror is kind of slightly like that. Like why is it back right now? Like what, as in like what are the indicators of why is it to
Mm.
say like from the we had it in the 90s and then we're having it now. Um, and then like I've just said I think because there is such a complexness of humanity in Gothic horror that
Hmm.
I do wonder if that's like a big reason we are in such a time right now that like there's war everywhere, there's poverty, the rich are getting richer. So the
Genocides.
genocide, so like looking at the complex of like the nature of good versus evil
Hmm.
and it being more black and white is definitely like something that I do wonder is that like why it's come back, and then um And then there's like obviously the mental health echoes as well with most of these people just needed to go to therapy, honestly. I think that's where we've like mostly come to the conclusion to, but it definitely echoes society and I think the zeitgeist of right now and like what's going
Hmm.
on in all of our brains.
Hmm. It is
So,
it is really interesting because I think as well there's like obviously Gothic and horror are very different genres, but they over I mean not very different. They are separate things, but the way that they overlap and that kind
yeah.
of idea of like being able to explore these like big fears. Um, I would be really interested. There's gotta be like research and people talking about plotting, I don't know, big because Gothic's like always been around and it
Mhm.
always will stick around. As in like for me, I don't feel like Gothic is coming back because a lot of my friends are like massive like Gothic readers and like,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of my favorite films are very Gothic and but it's coming back in the mainstream and it's that kind of
Mhm.
why is it back in the mainstream? Like who's making those
Yeah.
decisions? Um, what is so appealing about it?
Yeah.
It's very
I
fascinating. I don't
think
have the
I feel
answers.
like I wonder if I can look at it in the same way that I that you can look at epic films, like biblical epicals and like films
Interesting.
like Troy, the year what was it called? Like the year 3000, the amount
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
Ben-Hurs that were remade in the early 2000s.
I
And
mean,
that
we've got the Odyssey coming
yeah, but that
from
was
your
like
mate Nolan.
yeah, that's kind of coming back. So that was like a direct reflect of 9/11. I think was basically a very big part of it. And
I
then
remember you
yeah,
telling me
yeah.
this in
So I
when we
do
were
wonder
at
if it's something to do with,
Trinity. Yeah.
yeah, I wonder if it's something to do with that and like maybe the themes of like this uncertainty and humanity of is kind of like why it's kind of had a resurgence. Um, I think like in the 90s as well, like, there were still global like there was a lot of fear behind technology and um social cultural changes with high crime and stuff. So I do wonder maybe if that was playing on people's mind as well about this moral
Interesting.
dilemmas.
Hmm.
And so then maybe that's why it's echoing again now and coming back of like because yeah, I think like we said, like even the fact that like Interview with a Vampire's back, like these are all films that were made in the 90s that have been redone again now. Um
Mm.
so it's like unless if we
Why
make an essay on it, I don't think we haven't got any.
why do you think like if you could only give kind of like one reason or like a short answer, like why do you think Gothic is back right now?
I think if I like look at it like really like without really going into depth, I think it's just because we love I want to say we love romance in a way, and I think Gothic allows you to like really go into the depth of obsession and like of
Ooh.
like that like humanity like that just like moral dilemma of like how far would you go and like and I don't mean just like love as in like romantic love because obviously in Frankenstein there isn't but there is but there's not like any um and then if you it depends on what way you swing literally with an interview with a vampire there isn't love in that either but there is in
Lestat said
Dracula
bisexual rights.
and like they were gay it was pretty obvious like the
Oh man, I'm so excited for the Vampire Lestat. They are
I
teasing us
know.
so bad, and I don't think it's gonna come out until like
I've
next
never
autumn.
been teased this much before by a bloody film, and I'm not even going to
Yeah.
get any action after.
It's because it knows it's got us around its little finger.
I know, but to say that I wasn't actually a big fan of series one, I was, and I wasn't.
Live.
But no, like, I don't know. What about you? Like, do you think there's like a reason like Gothic
Um,
back?
sorry, I'm just thinking about Lestat now. Uh,
It's why are vampires back?
why are vampires back?
Even
And how
even
do we make them stay?
even Robert
Um,
Pattinson has said he's down to do another Twilight.
Love that man. Love that. Oh, I saw Die My Love recently
Oh, was it
with him
good?
in it. He was great. Jen Florence was great as well. Um
Yeah, I'm loving the oh, the lie detector was so funny. If you've not
oh, that was amazing. When he's like, I'm Gen Z. I'm Gen Z. Oh, we have a cat cameo.
This
Which one's
is
this?
Benji. This is my
Hi,
old
Benji.
boy. My oldie boy. But he's the clingy one, so
Oh, little
yeah.
baby. He's so cute. Gothic. Why is Gothic back? Um, yeah, I think it's probably a lot to do with the fact that like there's been and there is a lot of shit happening in the world, and I
Mhm.
think um people I don't know aren't built to be able to comprehend like how much horrible shit there is, and Gothic media is often a place to explore that safely. I also think maybe there's something in like kind of mental health realms of like coming
Mhm.
out of COVID, because that's the thing I always think with films especially is
Mhm.
that the it's so what's the word? Like the knock-on effect, there's such a long time. It's not just a case of like it's not like fast fashion. It's like it's got to get, it's got to get greenlit or it's got to get commissioned or
Mhm.
whatever. And then it goes through its pre-production and then it goes through production and
Mhm.
then it goes through post. And then you have a whole marketing campaign and then you have the festival run and then the cinema release. And like, so I always think you have to look back a few
Mhm.
years with like, okay, when were all of these getting,
Yeah.
the green light?
That's why I have a big theory about 2004.
Mhm.
I've said this so many years, many times. 2004 was the best year of cinema, and I will hold by that till
I
I
think you need to
die.
do a 9/11 specific podcast episode.
Maybe. I do think 9/11 was a really big thing on cinema and like, but I do think like there is that unknown in the control of your environment, and I think that
Mhm.
might be a big element as well to why Gothic's back.
Yes,
Mm.
massively. Well, because all of the best Gothics, like one of my favorite Gothic pieces of literature is Haunting of Hill House, the book, not the TV show, and things like Mexican Gothic, the
Mm.
book, and it's all of these things where like location and the house specifically is such like its own character.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, that feeling of like being trapped and stuff, which is why going back to Frankenstein, I really enjoyed the fact that he builds the creature in this like fuck off massive tower, because he just does it in like his student digs in the book, and I really like the kind of the
Yeah.
grand castleness of it all.
Yeah. I do think he did a lot of like the production team, like the production as a whole, as well as the director definitely did a lot of callbacks, I think, to other versions of Frankenstein, which I
Yeah.
think, was a really great, like I think I read somewhere like, because like I said I can't fully remember the Frankenstein book, but apparently it wasn't even to do with an electric strike. I think it's electricity. Is it electricity that, but the whole strike thing just,
There's a storm
yeah.
happening, but it's really I love Mary Shelley, and I
Mm,
love the way that she writes, but particularly when she's writing from Frankenstein's point of view, because it's as he's telling the story, so it's
mm,
literally like I did this and I did that, because he's talking to the captain, whatever. Um, is like he Frankenstein is so infuriating to read his voice. Like he just does not ever get to the point. And the particular passage where the creature comes to life, it's like such a long winding paragraph where he's not really saying much, and then it's stuck right in the middle. Like it's not this kind of grand, like you watch the adaptations and it's like there's a storm and then there's like the lightning and it comes through and it shocks him, and like in the book he's just kind of like, yeah, and then something weird happened, and yeah, I don't really know, something strange, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up and he was like stood at the end of my bed. Anyway, then this happened. And you're like, what's going on?
yeah, I think that's what I was like really like. They were like, it's not as big of a thing, but like I think because in the early films it was such a big thing of the strike on the top of the building. Or,
Mm.
like, you know.
which
yeah, I
is
think that's
dramatic as and
it's
cool.
dramatic,
I
and this
love
is
it.
why I love Gossip. It's just it's just the drama. Oh my God, I haven't even said anything about my favorite Gothic of all time, which is The Phantom of the Opera, which
Let's go.
we might be getting a new version soon, which I don't know if it's going to be the musical or just like the novel. Either I'm down. I'm down with
Mhm.
either. Like I'm
I
like
want to see the novel. I want to
I would
see
like to
the
see
kind of the
novel.
messy because it's
Yeah.
like it's a lot more it's a lot darker than the
It's
musical.
much darker. Like
Mm.
I know there was a 90s version.
Oh,
80s?
I've not seen
But yeah,
that.
there is a version that has, I swear it's him who plays fucking um he plays the dad Lannister in Game of Thrones. I swear he plays Eric.
I cannot for the life of me remember his name,
And
but I
yes, I'm
know
that
who you
person who
mean.
calls him Eric because he's fucking got a name, guys. His name is Eric.
He has a name, unlike Frankenstein's creature.
Yeah. Um, it's like Les Mis. Like people forget that Les Mis is a book, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, it's not the musical. We love the musical. We love the musical, but it's just, it's just a
Justice for Lane is
novel.
the book, the absolute mammoth from Hugo there.
Yeah. But anyway, like that's one that, and I think it's just the drum. I was gonna say it's the drama and the dramaticness
Mm.
of Gothic as well that I
I
think.
think I think you were onto something as well. Thinking about Phantom of the Opera when you, I think you were onto something when you talked about like kind of that romance and love, and like obviously not always romantic,
Mhm.
and going on to that like obsession and something, but like Phantom of the Opera is such like a horny story. Ooh, what are we?
Kind of got it up. So it
Oh,
was
I've not
a
seen this.
TV miniseries from 1990.
Love.
Yes. Really big actors in it actually, like looking back at it. Like
Would you recommend it?
I feel like I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but I haven't watched it for like a good many like 10 years maybe. But I
Cool.
remember like I've been seeing people like always reminiscing about it and stuff. But it's not completely to the book, but it's much more than
Mhm. My knowledge of the book is my good friend Debbie did an amazing show with her youth theatre, and it was they had a lot of music in it, but the story was from the book.
Mm.
And I went to go see it, and then I did some photography and filming for it. And I just remember being like, I had no idea any of this happened. Like, this is so
Yeah.
different. So that was my intro to it.
I think that's the one big thing that a lot of like I don't want to just say like a lot of adaptations, but like a lot of gothic adaptation, like horror adaptations. You're like, yes, it was much more fucked in the book. Like,
Yeah, people are scared to make it weird. Make it
yeah. Well, it's
weird.
like look at Wicked. Like the amount of people who are like, have you ever read the book? Much weirder. Like, I'm like,
Yeah. Have you
right.
have you have you read it?
No, I haven't. It's like loads of people are like, you should read it, but I don't think it's my cup of tea. Like, I don't think I'd get into it.
I genuinely think you would. I thought the same, and I was convinced to read it, and I'm
Yeah.
currently reading it, and I'm going to see For Good tomorrow. I don't know when this is going out, but currently it is the day before release of Wicked for Good,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go see it at one of the first screenings tomorrow. Um,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
I'm
the
gonna do a
book is
day time.
really political. The book
Mm.
is it is very dark. It is very fucked up, and the film actually kind of calls back to that quite a lot in like subtle ways because it is
Mm.
still a very kind of washed out,
Mm.
narratively. But yeah, the Wicked book is, you probably could argue, could fall in the gothic genre for sure.
All right, well, we'll end it there. So we'll say our goodbyes. As always, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, um, under Film Critic Life. I really hope people appreciate that we both kind of went, you went academia and I just went like, like
Oh, I'm just
I'm
wearing
trying.
my comfies. You're great. You're giving Kate Bush right
I was
now.
giving
She'd be
Cambridge.
proud. Yeah.
I like tried, even though I've got like half purple hair that no one can really see anymore because it's like kind of like come out a bit, but
It looks great. Stop being mean. It looks good.
stop being mean to myself, thank you. Anyway, right. Thanks for listening. Bye.